I've been watching the QAnon cult grow for a while now, and I've been covering it a lot on my podcast, but not much on my main channel. A major figure in the movement is a guy named Mike Lindell. I've talked about him before, but some interesting shit's been happening lately. He said his quote-unquote counterintelligence people told him that a news network called True News was run by Antifa. True News is run by Rick Wiles, actually, who, in case you didn't know, is a far-right extremist who he himself believes he's on some FBI watch list for how extreme he is. So obviously Mike Lindell got it wrong, and now Rick Wiles is miffed and making threats at him. It's a fascinating story, so let's take a look. Let's get into it. First, let me give you some context for the original claims. Check out this clip. This is what Lindell said about True News, Rick Wiles' news network.
I have a report from our counterintelligence and the people that were there. They've given me this report, and this will be ready by tonight. Antifa individuals, we're working with True News, which is a fake news site established by Media Matters for America. We believe Zachary Patrizio from Salon was involved. We've got them all on tape colluding with masks on.
Those are some tall claims, and pretty far-fetched considering how far-right True News is. Check out this clip. This is from Rick Wiles. It's a good example of the type of rhetoric you hear coming from these people.
Come on, left. We're going to meet you in the streets this time. You know what they're doing here in Florida? The governor wants a bill passed in Florida to empower citizens to shoot and kill looters and rioters. Yes, sir. Get it done, Governor. The people are with you. We're going to defend this state of Florida. We're not going to put up with this stuff anymore. The left, you better pack up and flee. You better, if you're part of this communist revolution, lefties, you better get out of the country. If we find out you're a part of the communist revolution, we're coming after you. All right? I don't care. FBI, put my name down on a list. Go ahead and do it. Do it. I don't care.
It doesn't get much more right-wing than that. So the fact that Lindell got it mixed up with another group is bizarre. This wasn't a one-time thing with Rick Wiles either. He says this kind of thing all the time. Here's another clip from before the election. He's talking about what'll happen if Trump loses the election. Check this out.
However he leaves, there's going to be violence in America. And I believe there are people in this country, veterans, there are cowboys, mountain men, guys that know how to fight, okay? And they're going to make a decision that the people that did this to Donald Trump are not going to get away with it. And they're going to hunt him down. I'm serious. They're going to hunt him down. I don't want it to happen. I don't want to see the country go this way. But once hell breaks loose, if these people in Washington think that they're going to get away with it, it's not going to happen. The Trump supporters are going to hunt them down.
I'm not sure I believe him when he says,
I don't want it to happen. I don't want to see the country go this way.
Based on the fact that just a minute ago, he was encouraging the Florida governor to open up laws that would allow them to legally take out anybody to the left of them. Credit to him, though, he didn't smile for the duration of that clip. I honestly expected to see him crack a smile, even a little one, as he thought about it. He's a dominionist. He believes that the country should be run by Christians, and anybody who isn't his specific version of Christian should be banned from office at best, and even taken out entirely at worst. Which is why it's so confusing to me that Mike Lindell seemingly confused him with somebody else? How can we trust anything Mike Lindell says after such a strange mix-up? What he said about True News being run by Antifa and Media Matters and having them on tape and all that other stuff is a good example of a propaganda technique called the big lie. Nothing he said was accurate. Nothing. And when he was called out on it, he didn't say, oh, I meant Blue News or True Views or something like that. This wasn't like a situation where he mispronounced the name or mixed them up with another group. Everything he said about True News was completely fabricated. The idea behind the big lie propaganda technique is to make the claims as detailed as possible. It makes people more likely to believe it. Well, they have all this information on it. I can understand lying about them, but why would somebody fabricate something so elaborate? The same thing happened with Obamagate a while while back. Trump went into this big, long-winded explanation for this thing that Obama did that was wrong, and added as much detail as he could to it. Even if you knew nothing about it from the beginning, you were more likely to believe it because of all the information he dumped on you. For the record, Obamagate was also a big lie. There was nothing to it. Anyways, now that we know that Lindell just made stuff up about True News, and we know what True News is really all about, check this clip. This is Rick Wiles' response to Lindell's slander.
If his sources of information are so faulty that he accuses True News of being a Media Matters puppet,
funded by Media
Matters, and that we smuggle Antifa terrorists into meetings, if his information is that faulty, then I can't trust anything Mike Lindell says.
Very good. He's starting to see what most of the rest of the U.S. already recognized. Boy, was this a blow to Mike Lindell. The True News audience is the exact audience that Lindell wants to bring in. By mistakenly slandering them, he really hurt his credibility. Apparently, Rick Wiles was so unhappy with the situation that he gave Mike Lindell an ultimatum. Check this out.
Mr. Lindell's wild accusations against True News are reckless and defamatory. His team is feeding him inaccurate information about us. We are demanding that Mr. Lindell immediately retract his accusations and apologize to True News. This is our last request from Mike Lindell to do the right thing. Admit he made a terrible mistake, retract his defamatory accusations, and publicly apologize to True News. One more thing, Mr. Lindell. Your public apology should come with a $1 million check, a donation to True News, to compensate for the damage you have done to us with your wild, reckless accusations.
Oh boy, that's not good. Coming in hot with threats of a lawsuit. Well, he's right. Lindell slandered them. Although usually to win a slander court battle against somebody, you have to prove that they knew they weren't telling the truth. But there are some exceptions for people called repeaters. If they aren't careful, even if they didn't come up with the lie, which I don't think Lindell did, he could still lose the suit for repeating it. It's complicated. Anyways, after that happened, Lindell actually looked into the situation and found that Rick Wiles and Lindell agree on a lot more than he thought, and he went on Steve Bannon's show to apologize for it and explain what happened. I wonder if Rick Wiles ever got that $1 million he requested. Before we continue, I want to mention something. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, you can support me in a few ways. First, there's Patreon. That's probably the best way. But if you want to get something back for your support, you can check me out on Teespring. Or you can check out my Etsy shop. I sell all kinds of cool stuff on there, including these signs. If you want to keep Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons from knocking on your door, put one of these out front. They're not afraid of much, except apostates. They'll hesitate before knocking when they realize you're an apostate. I sell a bunch of other stuff on there too, including game and controller stands for every system from the original Nintendo to the PlayStation 4, so give it a look. You might find something you like. Okay, now let's watch what Lindell had to say on Steve Bannon's show. Check this out.
When he said that, I talked to him off air, and I went back and checked, and then also I called Rick Wiles this morning, from True News, and we got on the phone for quite a while. We prayed together. We were both set up. It was a huge setup, and we are brothers in Christ.
Hold on, hang over a second. What do you mean set up? And the question is, if you set up, I think you got to answer, given how serious this is, how serious the charges you're making, how did a guy as savvy, tough, and smart as Mike Lindell allow himself to be set up?
Good question from Bannon. How'd he allow that to happen? I'll tell you. He doesn't vet what he's told. Somebody tells him something and he believes it without question. I find that absolutely fascinating. I can't believe this dude doesn't ask for evidence when somebody tells him something. Imagine if I just accepted everything anybody ever told me without asking for evidence. I guess that's Mike Lindell's way. He is religious after all. Let's keep watching.
How did a guy as savvy, tough, and smart as Mike Lindell allow himself to be set up?
Well, it was both. It was this is like living inside of a spy movie. Everybody, you bring in just like our red team that was brought in, and then you find out this Josh Merritt was on there, and I mean this is all tying to different. Like it was it all a big old the whole thing where they all set it up together, or was it different pieces? We are now, but with specifically on True News. I want to go, completely go public here. Both of us were set up, and we're going to say we're both looking into this. We don't want to really give out specifics, Steve, because it really, This would have done huge damage to their church.
They were both set up? By who? Who set you up? And how was True News set up? They're just going along their merry way, and suddenly they're blindsided by one of the most high-profile conspiracy theorists in the US accusing them of working with Antifa. This is just bizarre, really. And I love how he wants to make it out like it was a big secret operation orchestrated by spies instead of Lindell just accepting information without asking for evidence. Let's keep watching.
I actually went out publicly and said that True News had did this, and this. And because I got that from my counterintelligence team, and then when I called him, we found out that there was also, you'll find out, it was when these people signed up to go to the symposium, there's a lot of.
I understand that, but doesn't that raise questions about your if this is now you're kissing and making up? Does that say something about your counterintelligence team?
Yeah, it does. He's acting like he's some big shot political operative that has a counterintelligence team. Like he has access to some special information that nobody else has access to. It's ridiculous. Obviously, they barely vet the information they're given, if at all. A simple Google search, clicking on the very top result, would have disproven what he was told. Is there even a counterintelligence team? I'd be surprised if there is. Let's continue.
I did everything I could to prepare for this, but the attacks are so big and go so vast. You look at this, you go, who do you trust here? Who do you trust here? And this goes to tell you, the bottom line is this: they do not want me to get this information to the Supreme Court. They do not want this. They do not want this to get out. And we are in a race here. What you just said, Steve, about, the Biden and what they're doing and what they're doing to our country and what they're doing with all the things right now. We are in a race against time. This thing is very easy. You get this election pulled down. You're right. It's all a big deflection on the election. And we've got this 2020 election.
And now we come full circle. He has this conspiracy theory that people are trying to ruin his credibility, so nobody will believe him when he says Trump is going to be reinstated as president on August 13th, 2020. Oh, the date already passed? Apparently what he meant to say was late September. He has no credibility to ruin at this point. Your first date fails, just move it to another. I honestly thought ultra-religious nutterbutters learned better than to name specific dates a long time ago. Did they learn nothing from Harold Camping? It's embarrassing, but he keeps moving the date. And there are some pro-Trump groups out there who have expressed an interest in making another January 6th style event take place. He's getting people whipped up into a blood frenzy, and we should all be concerned. His incompetence seems goofy and hilarious at its face, but this is what we call stochastic terrorism. He's laying the groundwork necessary to lead to a real, dangerous event to take place. And, of course, Lindell has historically endorsed actual terrorism. Anyways, that's all I've got for you. Thanks for watching, guys.